Dakota Johnson obsessed Madam Web producer over Marvel flop remarks. So, as y'all know, Madam Web became one of the absolute train wrecks from Sony. And it's all because, feminism has played a huge role into this film, and why I deeply regretted seeing this filth, because it didn't really make sense. I get it. Some of them were based on the comics, but I feel like if you're gonna adapt the comic into a movie, make sure you don't add some PC moments. I don't want to use the W word, but you get what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's why the movie flopped in the first place, because it wasn't any flavor being put into it. And you could tell it was some bad effects written all over it. It was all over this film. It was everywhere. And that's how you know that this movie should have never been made in the first place, if you're not going to put any more efforts into it. Dakota Johnson has reportedly stirred controversy with Sony and the Madam Web team following her public criticisms of the Marvel movie amid its underwhelming box office performance. Johnson is facing criticism from Sony and the Madam Web team for her remarks about the Marvel's movie's performance, with accusations that she has been disparaging towards the production and unwilling to take responsibility. So you're mad at her because she criticized the movie. If anything, y'all should be the ones getting criticized because of how poorly done you put out this film. Because number one, nobody asked for this movie in the first place. Everybody on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, they all hated this film, and it showed. It's like, what I don't understand about these film companies, when you put out a bad film, you always blame the fans. You always blame the people of how bad the film turned out. Maybe it's because you did not put any effort into this project, even though you used a whole lot of money for this movie, but you can tell it was undone. So it's obvious to me that for those who made the movie, I think are either feminists or a bunch of lefties that must have think that, oh, since we made Madam Web, go see it, go check it out, the movie will change your mind. No, it didn't. You already disappointed so many Spider-Man fans that were willing to check this out. But you have to understand that if you put out a bad film, you better be prepared to take criticism. And it's unfortunate that Dakota Johnson is dealing with it for no apparent reason. She did her part in the film. And it goes to show you that when film companies don't really take any accountability of putting out garbage projects, and it shows a lot. According to an exclusive report from Daily Mail, an insider revealed concerns within Sony regarding Johnson's comments and her handling of the film's disappointing results. The insider claimed that while Dakota's co-star Sydney Sweeney's lighthearted jab about the movie on Saturday night, SNL, was tolerated, Johnson's repeated negative remarks were not hypocrisy. The sources empathize that while it's acceptable for actors to joke about a film's performances, Johnson's continuous criticism and lack of accountability were not well received. The 50 Shades of Grey actress portrays the lead character in the $18 million production, which faced severe criticism from both reviewers and audiences upon its release on Valentine's Day, which was probably the worst day to put out this film. The film's domestic box office earnings have fallen short, totaling only $40 million thus far. with one of the lowest superhero debut figures in recent memory. The movie grossed a mere $15.1 million during its opening weekend. You know, it really goes to show you that not only the fans hate it, but the actress and the actors also hated this project. But one of them that played the superhero criticized the men of not liking this movie because it was made by women. You know, this is what the left does. When we don't like something that has something to do with a female-led franchise, though Wonder Woman and everyone else makes sense. But if you try to put together a team that nobody asked for, that is being forced down our throats, that is where we have a problem and draw the line with. Because, like I said, nobody wanted this project in the first place. This movie failed in the first place is because of y'all. Don't blame us of how bad your movie turned out. That's not feminist and leftist nonsense. You always want to blame men, but you can't even blame yourself. If anything, it was nobody's fault but y'all's. So here's my problem with the criticism and the backlash that Johnson is getting from Sony. Sony is so pressed to put out this movie so bad because they want to capture and bring people back to the glory days of Sony's magic, especially with the Sam Raimi trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy, Venom. But you have to understand that those films were not good at all, especially the Venom franchise. Yes, I like some things about it, but at the same time, the story just all over the place. But when it comes to Madam Web, however, you cannot blame the fans of how poorly your film did. You're unwilling to take any responsibilities for your own actions instead of blaming this actress and this actor for how they criticize your trash movie, then you have no business making this movie in the first place. Because like I say, nobody on God's green earth asked for this movie. At the end of the day, what's done is done. So your chances of making a franchise are pretty low at this point, especially with the Spider-Man 4 situation. Y'all might as well not make it. You might as well just give Madam Web, Venom, and Spider-Man to the MCU and let them show it how it's done. So, link to the article will be down below.